Hello everyone. I am very pleased to welcome Murad again on my channel because he has a very grand announcement to make. Murad, I think you'll be releasing your English translation of the Quran very soon. There will be, I think, a full presentation on your channel on November the 1st. And it's already available for download. I think on your Buy Me a Coffee website. I will put the link in the description. So Murad, for the people who don't know you yet, who are you?
Well, I am a native Arab speaker, so Arabic is my mother tongue. Always Christians, when they talk to Muslims, they tell them, well, you do not know Arabic. Well, now Arabic is my mother tongue. Now they tell me, well, you're not from an Islamic school, then they up the ante. So I am a native Arabic speaker from the Middle East, and I have translated the Quran, an ultra literal translation. So it's a translation unlike anything else. People who already got the free sample, they know that it is unlike anything else. I would not have put a lot of time and effort into it unless it is unique. So this is the project that I have accomplished in like 5 year time frame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I concur. I have read the translation. It's a humongous work. It's something really important. And yeah, it required at least 5 years of work. It's amazing what you have done. It's a very consistent translation. That's something that is very interesting. You work on a concordance for every word of the translation, meaning that for every word, every expression, you, contrary to most Islamic translation or even non-Islamic translations, you put the effort to abide by the same meaning for every occurrence of the same word. Whereas in other translations, we see that the translator sort of adapts the text. It changes the meaning of the word according mostly to the Islamic narrative. And so what you did is something unique. It's a sort of a translation that is freed from the conceptions, the interpretations of the Islamic narrative. Our audience has to know that it is very difficult to understand the Quran without referring to the Islamic narrative. When you look at Islam's development, Islam's emergence, there is supposed to have been a preaching of the Quran in the 7th century that was widely spread among the first Muslims. Actually, what happened is a bit different. The Quran was composed and edited and redacted and processed, and it was not published until the 8th century at least, and it was not widespread until the 9th or maybe the 10th century. In the meantime, Islamic scholars developed a narrative, the narrative of the revelation, the narrative of Prophet Muhammad receiving the visit of the angel Gabriel and so on, the narrative of Muhammad having been born in Mecca, preaching among Meccans and so on. It is the whole narrative about the circumstances of the revelation, Asbab al-Nuzul in Arabic, and it has imposed its own interpretation of the Quran according to Islam. And it's very difficult nowadays to read the Quran without this interpretation in mind. without, for example, the idea that Muhammad was the prophet of Islam, that he was born in Mecca, that he preached to Meccans, that he had to fled Mecca and go to Medina, established there the first Islamic state, and so on. So what you did is very interesting because you went back to the literal meaning of the text. And the literal meaning is sometimes very, very different from the Islamic interpretation. And it gives us new insight into the Quran and a renewed understanding of its meaning. For my part, it was very, very, how can I put it? I was very astonished by the sort of bluntness, rawness of your translation. It sort of gave me an understanding of the literal Quran that I could never get from any other translation. I sort of got to understand the Quran as an Arab would understand it, a non-Muslim Arab would have understood it. And this is really a tour de force. But it's also very, very, sometimes you feel a bit estranged when you are used to reading the Quran, its translation, and when you come to very, at first sight, weird translation of yours, such as, for example, the word you use to translate the Arabic deen. Deen, usually, it's supposed to be religion. But you, Murad, you translated it as conviction. Why did you do such a thing?
Well, you see, we are just used to the standard Islamic narrative to a point that we use it in our own language today. This is a problem. The word deen, it is used today and in the Arabic dictionary in courts. We say تمت إدانته. So deen, yudeen, idana. And also it comes from it the word dain, which means debt. But this is a kind of different word. It's the same skeletal text, but different diacritical marks. If we just look at the word deen, then you have deen and idana. It means if someone is convicted of theft, this is the word deen, tammat idanatu. He has been convicted, a negative conviction only. It is not just a judgment so that you can get either a positive outcome or a negative outcome. It's only negative. And also, when I use the word conviction, I was very happy. I cannot tell you how happy I was when I got to the word conviction because it's a double whammy. It has two meanings that perfectly fit the Arabic word. Because when I say I have my deen, it means I have my conviction. I have my positive conviction. Lakum dinakum waliya deen. You have your conviction, I have my conviction. It's not you have your religion, I have my religion, because the word religion is not in the Quran. The Quran is not really religious as people think. It uses a secular language. It uses, as you see in my translation, people, when they download it, they will see it's kind of a secular language. It doesn't even have the word sin. I do not have the word sin in the Quran. The word dhanb is when you are guilty, you do a guilty deed. This is guilt. This is in the context of a court. This is not the biblical sin, Adam and Eve, original sin. This stuff is not in the Quran. This is a secular book for people who want to conquer, and I say Jerusalem. This is what I get from the Quran when I read it without any other interpretation. And actually, let me tell you, before I give you the word, I was very enthusiastic for this project because everyone said you can never understand the Quran without other texts like tafseers and hadith. I love it when people say you can never do this. I am like David Wood. I'm kind of a psychopath in this area. I can never do this. Well, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I will translate the Quran and I will look. If I do not know the meaning of a word, I will only do one thing. I will look for this word in every single context in the Quran. And actually, people, I think, are not very smart because the Quran is a big book. It's not small. Why do you want to look for the meaning outside of the Quran? The Quran is already a chunky, big book. You will find the same word that is puzzling you in other contexts. And using logic, you can glean the true meaning of the word. And with a concordance and with not allowing myself to use the same word twice, now I can force myself to actually know the correct word using the Arabic dictionary only with the Quran without any standard Islamic narrative interpretation. I never opened Tabari. I remember I opened the Tabari only once, and it's to look at something to do with the timing of the day. So is it pre-sunset or post-sunset? This is the only time I looked for the standard narrative because I did not find enough data in the Arabic dictionary for that. When they say the words has been dictated to him bukratan wa asila, this word asila, I just wanted to know, is this pre-sunset or post? This is the only thing I got from the Islamic narrative. Other than that, only the Quran comparing and contrasting verses in the Quran. And I did not go outside the Quran much. It was very rare for me to do that. Back to you.
It's very, very interesting because what you sort of reinvented by yourself is the scientific method. The basis for a scientific exegesis of any text, and notably the Quran, is what Patricia Krone, the famous Islamologist, put in an article in 2010. I have already quoted her on my channel, but I can't resist quoting her again. She wrote that we have to start by understanding the Quran on the basis of information supplied by the book itself. And this is exactly what you did. So maybe you hadn't yet the scholarly background and all the knowledge she had about Aramaic, ancient Semitic languages, historical context, and so on. But you did exactly what an academia scholar should do, which is understand the Quran on the basis of the Quran, looking for the word deen in all its occurrences, trying to understand what it means, for example. Looking for the expression Ahl al-Kitab, for example, and trying to understand what it could mean. And for me, who has done kind of the same work on the Quran, without your knowledge of Arabic, but building on the works of other scholars. But I did sort of the same work with, I also built a concordance and so on. It's very interesting because our findings sort of converge. I was mentioning the Ahl al-Kitab expression, the people of the book, people of the scripture, or eligible of the writing, as you put it in your translation. And I think we both agree that they are not what the Islamic narrative tells about them. They are not the Muslim plus Jews plus Christians. Mostly they are Jews. And I'm very happy to have met you, Murad. We are to address this issue in detail, and there will be we will be doing some presentation about this topic in in the future some very detailed and maybe I think very interesting presentation. But before this, I want the audience to be aware of the way they can get your translation. Where can they download, and what are the different versions of your translation? I think you have a cheap version, a complete package, a Kindle file. You have everything on your website.
Yeah, the link is in the description box. It's the Buy Me a Coffee website. So there are two options. There is the cheap one, which will be an English only version PDF, and there is the complete package, which is four products: the English only, PDF, and Kindle, the Arabic and the English, PDF, and Kindle. So the people, they can choose whichever fits them the most.
Okay. I will also add that you have written an introduction to your translation where you explain your methodology, you explain why you had to why and how you worked, and it's very you explain very interesting points. So Murad, let's remind our audience that there will be a full presentation of your translation on your channel that will be released on November the 1st.
Yes,
So
yes,
you
this
told
is
me that you
the
prepared
official
100
expose.
slides.
Yeah, over 100 slides. This is the official expose, so that they know exactly how I translated my work. Because, of course, anyone listening, he will be skeptic. He will say, another Quran translation? I will tell him, yes, because you do not have a Quran translation. This is the first Quran translation. So I will explain in detail why I did this work and how different it is. In my work, there is no word abrogation, there is no Yathrib, and a lot of other things. There is no Samiri, the Samaritan, as I told you. So, and this is all based on the Quran interpreting itself. I'm just looking at the very same word here and there and in the Arabic dictionary, and that's just it. So, of course, it's different. So, if someone he is not interested, then he is not interested in general in the stuff we are talking about. How come he does not find this interesting?
There is no compulsion in Murad's translation. La ikra fi Murad's Quran. Murad, thank you very much for your work, and I urge our audience to get a copy of your translation and to get a chance to understand the literal text of the Quran thanks to your work. Thanks to your work. Thanks a lot, Murad, and we'll see you very soon on our channel.
Thank you very much, sir.